Hello everybody, it is me, Epic Briskatuzi, and today we're here talking about Arifureta from Commonplace, the World's Strongest, episode 3. So, I like it how, one thing that I really like, especially like how, I mentioned this last episode, I think, but it's prevalent in the first minute of the series where you see how, you saw how Yue finally noticed that she's naked and that the main character, knew all along, but then, Yue finally, noticed because Hajime ended up throwing his fur coat onto her for her to use it as, a cloth, and we see her even use it later on at the 9 minute mark where I stopped at, where she's wearing it sort of tied up as she has a shower towel on. That's what it looks like on her. And then she notices, and then she calls Hajime a pervert. And I really like it how they didn't turn it into a cliche comedy anime moment, and that they actually kept it tone level. That he doesn't care, and that she also doesn't care to a point, but she did care a little bit because she did call him a pervert. And then they just went on to fight off against the enemy. And then we saw how apparently the thing that shot him last episode was apparently a giant scorpion, and apparently the scorpion also looks like a crab. And it also has maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 stingers on his butt. That's a lot. And it was able to shoot the piercing stab wounds, but it was also able to shoot lasers out of its tail, which is very odd. And then the main character, of course, with his quick step and stuff like that, is able to dodge it instantly. And then he also kept on shooting at it, but then we saw how apparently the scorpion had a very hard shell, so he just kept on shooting at it and shooting and shooting at it, just not even doing anything. And then we saw a moment where Yue, because she's a vampire, she decided to because she wasn't able to use her powers because she's been in that labyrinth, in that room for as we saw from what Hajime said, for 300 years or more. And then apparently she had to suck on Hajime's blood, and they made that scene very sensual because as she kept on sucking and sucking and sucking. Dude, that could be seen as normal, but to me, that seemed very sensual. And then she ended up summoning a blue flame ball. And as soon as I saw that blue flame ball, I was like, wait, I recognize that blue flame ball. That's from the opening song. That scene is literally from the opening song. Literally, all of the scenes that are from the show are just in the anime song, unless the parts of it that aren't from the song. And then we saw her crush it down on him, and it did absolutely nothing. Then she ended up falling over because she ended up being very weak, and then she's just I can't do high level spells like that too often. And then after that, Hajime ends up carrying her. I really like how it looks when he's carrying her. She's just on his back, just holding on to him, and then they're just running around and dodging. And then Hajime has a plan to ask her to shoot down her fireball again, and then he's just gonna shoot wherever the fireball hits in order to puncture him. So then he ends up defeating the scorpion, and then they end up going back to his cave after Hajime gets takes meat from the monster and also takes his shells and stuff like that. And he ends up finding out that the piercing shells are very tough, powerful ore and stuff like that. And then he ends up creating a new weapon. And as soon I was really wondering what this new weapon was gonna be, but it's literally a rifle or a sniper rifle or something like that. I literally can't tell right now because I stopped at the 9 minute mark. But literally, he literally went from a pistol to a sniper rifle or a rifle. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're going crazy with this amount of knowledge right now. How does he even know how to make this stuff? It's like he can just see it. Because he saw this in the real world, he can just create it in just this world. He doesn't even need to know the insides. He just needs to just create it, and then he just can just create bullets, and he's done. He just can just shoot it and everything. Even though that we saw how pistol does nothing to monsters, so who knows that the sniper rifle can do more damage. I guess that weapon or rifle does do more damage, but we're gonna see where that goes. And then we saw how apparently, like I said earlier, apparently Yue is 300 years old because Hajime said that when he was reading about stuff in the library back in the first episode, that was a very throwaway scene. We saw how apparently he learned about a whole bunch of things. And then apparently the vampires were eradicated 300 years ago. So I guess she's one of the last vampires, which I guess is an interesting thing plot point to have. And then Hajime ends up saying that must be weird to be that age, and then Yue ends up being very angry about that. It's you should, that's very rude to say my age. So far the first 9 minutes were okay. The fight was okay. Also, I really hate sometimes where his guns do damage and you see explosions, but then sometimes in the first 2 episodes he would just shoot them in the head and they would just do a freeze frame of them just losing consciousness. And at least we saw him actually defeating the scorpion with some of its insides gushing out, which is a good sight to see sometimes. But yeah, the first time this episode was pretty good, and I can't wait to see what happens in the middle parts of this episode. Okay, I am back, and I just watched from about 9 minutes to about the 16-minute mark, and all I gotta say is wow, that face, that face that Yue made was that was pretty hilarious because that literally came out of nowhere. She literally looks like a cat. She has literally an anime cat face where they're like freaked out. That's a really funny face. So after the 9 minute mark, we saw an exposition scene where Hajime was telling Yue about like where he came from and stuff like that, and like all of his like what happened to him, how he got betrayed and stuff like that. And we saw how apparently Yue was very emotional about it and was crying about his story because she wanted to know. And then after she known, she was very sad about it. And then we saw how apparently Hajime's like goals has completely changed from like the way that he was in the first episode. Like literally, he's just like, I don't even care that I got betrayed anymore. I don't even want to have revenge. I don't care anymore. I just want to go home. That's it. But if anybody's in my way, I'll kill them. And I was like, dude. Like literally, he like you would think that he would want to get revenge on the red-haired guy. I was actually waiting. It's like maybe like no, I was actually waiting for him to like get revenge. Like maybe just hit that guy or something, maybe like hurt him or something. But literally in this episode, he literally says he doesn't care. I guess we'll just wait and see like that if he ever sees that guy again, we'll see him. We went back to like the all the other characters, like all of his other classmates back at the Coliseum and stuff like that, and they're like all training and stuff like that. And then apparently they're getting pressure put on them, I guess, because we saw how apparently they're like saying like we need to make this a success. Like were they have they been to the labyrinth since? Have they tried going since, or is like them like losing Hajime still like a big failure that's pressure that putting pressure on them to like maybe like complete more levels or stuff like that? Or like it seems like there was something happening where they said that they can't fail and that they need to succeed. So I'm really wondering because if it was just one failure, that was just like an accident where they got sent somewhere else. Unless like the whole entire team like kept on doing it but kept on failing. We saw how apparently the main knight dude, the guy in all the golden armor from his class, that like class leader type guy, apparently he's like level 50 and all of his stats are like in the 600s. And I think Hajime's is close to that. I think that I remember him being in the 400s last episode, possibly. I kind of forgot, unless like I guess he did show it, but it was Hajime did show his card, his like stat card this episode, but I think it was just him just reading a description, so I don't really know what his stats are right now. But we also saw how apparently the sword girl, I already forgot her name, I think it was Corey. Apparently she was like having very like really weird faces during that scene where she was like looking around and being very worried and stuff like that and really wondering what's going on there. And then after that we saw a scene where where I remember this scene from the second volume of the manga. I think that this is the middle of it, so we're close to like the ending of the second volume where things start heading in a different direction. We also saw how during the scene we saw a whole bunch of T Rexes and a whole bunch, I guess like T Rex raptors chasing after Hajime and Yue, and they had like flowers on top of their head. I actually remember this part quite well. We also saw Yue like kept on sucking on Hajime's like neck a lot. She did it once, she did it twice, she did it 3 times, and then like Hajime started getting very like annoyed by it and was asking her to stop. And like she said that she couldn't stop, but she didn't really say what she said in the manga. I'm pretty sure that in the manga, maybe she said it later on in a different scene before the ending of the second volume, where she says that she keeps on like she keeps on drinking his blood because it's tasty and that she really likes the way that it tastes. And I'm pretty sure that Hajime deduces in his head that the reason why his blood is tasty is because of like he has a whole bunch of monsters' blood in him plus his own blood, so it all mixed together into this amalgamation of something that tastes really good to Yue. Because I'm pretty sure that she said that it's a flavor that she's never tasted before because of how many blood mixtures like he has in him. Because like that's one of the reasons how she when she was trying to get answers from like she said like, are you even human? And like you can like call him half human at this point based on like how many like abilities he has and like what he's been through. At least and he has a lot of that holy water. Like, how much did that pack on him? But based on how big his bag is, like, I guess he has a lot. So we saw right before the 16-minute mark that apparently they like went into the main source of like the labyrinth that they're at right now, like where they're facing the T Rexes, and they found out that they're parasites and that they're trying to find like the main source in order to stop the parasites from attacking them. And then they end up finding a room that their camp at where the T Rexes didn't want them to go. And then there's this green dust that goes around, and you saw how apparently the green dust doesn't affect Hajime, but it ends up affecting Yue, or maybe like something, or maybe she isn't affected and that maybe she's like looking somewhere else, but we've got this green dust affecting them. And like Hajime tried to like stop the dust by using his synergist ability to like manifest to like forge the ground to like block it, but you can't really block something like that. There'd be bound to be cracks in that formation. But other than that, the middle part of this episode is definitely very interesting and definitely very good, and I definitely remember some stuff from the manga. But other than that, I'll be back to review the ending of this episode. Okay, so after watching the ending of this episode, I can automatically assume that the next episode, episode 4, is going to be the ending of volume 2. So I guess I'm going to have to start reading my third and fourth volume that I have in my room because I still haven't read them yet. I have them, I bought them. I haven't read them though, but I have about like 400 books in my room, and I haven't read, I think I've only read like 50 of them, so I need to read a lot more books that I have in my collection. But wow, it was really weird seeing how the thing that was controlling Yue was a sensual flower. That flower was curvy as hell. Even though that it had an ugly face, man, its hip and those breasts, just wow, wow. And then we saw how it was like controlling Yue to attack Hajime over and over. But I really find it weird how it didn't control her to her fullest consent, because each blast that Yue like blasted at Hajime did absolutely nothing to Hajime. Like it was just like, okay, I'm getting hurt, but there's no damage being shown. He like kept on trying to like shoot at Yue and also the thing, but I guess like because like the flower was hiding behind Yue, like Hajime didn't want to shoot at her, even though that like he thought about like shooting at her because of her regeneration ability. And then we saw a scene that was just like the most funniest thing ever, because she's just like, Hajime, just shoot, and like Hajime is just like, wait, what? I can shoot? Really? And then he just grabs his gun and just shoots right at Yue's face and shoots the flower right off of her, and then gets a shot in behind her and then hits the flower in like the arm, and then like Yue's face is just like, wait, what? He literally just shot at me. And then like it would have been even funnier if he actually shot like into her body somewhere, and then it went through her body into the plant's body. And then Hajime just shoots like it in like the stomach somewhere, and then it just burns up into flames somehow. And then like Yue just gets mad at him. And we saw a pretty cute moment where when she got mad at Hajime, Yue was just doing that cute thing where she's like smacking his stomach and his chest when it's not doing anything because of how tough his body is. Very cute moment. Definitely something that we've seen before. Then after that, we saw a scene where like Hajime was asking like how she eats and stuff like that, and she said that she can eat real food, but at the same time she gets more enjoyment out of drinking blood. And then like Hajime then asked the question about why why she eats him, and then she says that she really likes the taste of it. And man, that scene was very sexual. Like wow, you have it where she's crawling on the floor, and then she stands up, and then dethrones herself of like the fur coat that Hajime gave her, and then she just shows herself naked, and then jumps onto Hajime, and then just starts drinking his blood. I'm just like, dude, and she even licks her lips just like you did earlier. And like, man, that scene got me going. Then after that, towards the ending of this episode, we saw how apparently they got to the 100th floor. Now I have no idea about like all of like Hajime's other classmates. I have no idea what floor they're at right now. Maybe they're like still at the very like early like levels, even farther behind than Hajime is right now, because Hajime is so far down that like, man, I'm really like wondering like where his classmates are, because he's like way stronger than them if he's like all the way down there by now. I like really would want to know what they're at. But then we saw how apparently they got to the last floor, and that Hajime was like trying to be very careful and stuff like that. And then Yue saw that and was asking him about it. And we saw how apparently he found a door, just like he found a door where Yue was at. So I guess that when he opens up that door, he's gonna like fight off against another like monster, because the next episode is Guardians of the Depths. So we're gonna see him fight against the monster. And I'm pretty sure that this scene, yeah, the ending of this was the ending of Volume 2, and it's pretty good. I hope that they do it well. I might need to like refresh my memory to see how good it is. But yeah, I'm probably gonna read Volume 3 and also Volume 4. Might do reviews on it, maybe not. But yeah, this episode was pretty decent. I really liked it. I really like where the story's going. I know what happens next, or I could just watch it. But I'd rather read it first, because I'd rather read the good version than to watch this, even though that it might go exactly the same way. But other than that, if you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on this episode, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy this, whatever you dislike. I can't wait for next week to watch the next episode, or to review anything else that I might review. And yeah, bye. See you later.